Good morning. Today we continue with John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, the battle between Christian and Apollyon. Uh, in um, in the book, we go and continue now with that. Christian armored, now ready for the battle. So he went on, and Apollyon met him. Now the monster was hideous to behold. He was clothed with scales like a fish, and they are his pride. And he had wings like a dragon, feet like a bear. And out of his belly came fire and smoke, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion. When he was come up to Christian, he beheld him with a disdainful countenance, and thus began to question with him. Whence come you, and whither are you bound? I come from the city of destruction, which is a place of all evil, and I am going to the city of Zion. Apollyon said, By this I perceive thou art one of my subjects, for all that country is mine, and I am the prince and god of it. How is it then that thou hast run away from thy king? Were it not that I hope thou mayest do me more service, I would strike thee now at one blow to the ground. Christian, I was born indeed in your dominions, but your service was hard, and your wages such as a man could not live on. For the wages of sin is death. Therefore, when I was come out to years, I did as other considerate persons do, look out if perhaps I might mend myself. Apollyon, there is no prince that will thus lightly lose his subjects, neither will I as yet lose thee. But since thou complainest of thy service and wages, be content to go back. What our country will afford, I do here promise to give thee. Christian, but I have left myself to another, even to the king of princes. And how can I with fairness go back with thee? Apollyon, thou hast done in this according to the proverb, changed a bad for a worse. But it is ordinary for those that have professed themselves his servants after a while to give him the slip, and return again to me. Do thou so too, and all shall be well. Christian, I have given him my faith, and sworn my allegiance to him. How then can I go back from this and not be hanged as a traitor? Apollyon, thou didst the same to me, and yet I am willing to pass by all, if now thou wilt yet turn again and go back. Christian, what I promised thee was in my nun age, and besides, I count that the prince under whose banner now I stand is able to absolve me, yea, and to pardon also what I did as to my compliance with thee. And besides, O destroying Apollyon, to speak truth, I like his service, his wages, his servants, his government, his company, and his country better than thine. And therefore leave off to persuade me further. I am his servant, and I will follow him. Apollyon, consider again when thou art in cold blood what thou art like to meet with in the way thou goest. Thou knowest that for the most part his servants come to an ill end, because they are transgressors against me and my ways. How many of them have been put to shameful deaths? And besides, thou countest his service better than mine, whereas he never came yet from the place where he is to deliver any that served him out of our hands. But as for me, how many times, as all the world very well knows, have I delivered, either by power or fraud, those that have faithfully served me from him and his, though taken by them, and so I will deliver thee. Christian, his forbearing at present to deliver them is on purpose to try their love, whether they will cleave to him to the end. And as for the ill end thou sayest they come to, that is most glorious in their account. For present deliverance they do not much expect it, for they stay for their glory, and then they shall have it, when their prince comes in his glory, and the glory of the angels. Apollyon, thou hast already been unfaithful in service to him. How dost thou think to receive wages of him? Christian, wherein, O Apollyon, have I been unfaithful to him? Apollyon, thou didst faint at the first setting out, when thou wast almost choked in the gulf of despond. Thou didst attempt wrong ways to be rid of thy burden, whereas thou should have stayed till the prince had taken it off. Thou didst sinfully sleep and lose thy choice thing. Thou wast almost persuaded to go back at the sight of the lions, and when thou talkest of thy journey and of what thou hast heard and seen, thou art inwardly desirous of vain glory in all that thou sayest or doest. Christian, all this is true, and much more which thou hast left out. But the prince whom I serve and honor is merciful and ready to forgive. And besides, These infirmities possess me in thy country. For there I sucked them in, and have groaned under them, been sorry for them, and have obtained pardon of my prince. Apollyon. Then Apollyon broke out into a grievous rage, saying, I am an enemy to this prince. I hate this person, his laws and people. I am come on purpose to withstand thee. Christian. Apollyon, beware what you do, for I am in the king's highway, the way of holiness. Take heed, therefore, to yourself. Then Apollyon strode quite over the whole breadth of the way, and said, I am void of fear in this matter. Prepare thyself to die. For I swear to my infernal den that thou shalt go no further. Here will I spill thy blood. And with that he threw a flaming dart at his breast. But Christian had a shield in his hand, with which he caught it, and so prevented the danger of that. Then did Christian draw, for he saw 'twas time to bestir him. And Apollyon as fast made at him, throwing darts as thick as hail, by the which, notwithstanding all that Christian could do to avoid it, Apollyon wounded him in his head, his hand, and his foot. This made Christian give a little back. Apollyon therefore followed his work amain, and Christian again took courage and resisted as manfully as he could. This sore combat lasted above half a day, even till Christian was almost quite spent. For you must know that Christian, by reason of his wounds, must needs grow weaker and weaker. Then Apollyon, espying his opportunity, began to gather up close to Christian, and wrestling with him, gave him a dreadful fall. And with that Christian's sword flew out of his hand. Then Apollyon said, I am sure of thee now. And with that he had almost pressed him to death, so that Christian began to despair of life. But as God would have it, while Apollyon was fetching of his last blow, thereby to make a full end of this good man, Christian nimbly reached out his hand for his sword and caught it, saying, Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. And with that gave him a deadly thrust, which made him give back as one that had received his mortal wound. Christian, perceiving that, made at him again, saying, Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. And with that Apollyon spread forth his dragon's wings, and sped him away, that Christian for a season saw him no more. In this combat no man can imagine, unless he had seen and heard as I did, what yelling and hideous roaring Apollyon made all of the fight. He spake like a dragon, and on the other side what sighs and groans from Christian's heart. I never saw him all the while give so much as one pleasant look, till he perceived he had wounded Apollyon with his two-edged sword. Then indeed he did smile and look upward, but 'twas the dreadfulest sight that I ever saw. But when the battle was over, Christian said, I will here give thanks to him that hath delivered me out of the mouth of the lion, to him that did help me against Apollyon. And so he did, saying, Great Beelzebub, the captain of this fiend, designed my ruin. Therefore to this end he sent him harnessed out, and he with rage that hellish was, did fiercely me engage. But blessed Michael helped me, and I, by dint of sword, did quickly make him fly. Therefore to him let me give lasting praise, and thank and bless his holy name always. Then there came to him a hand with some of the leaves of the tree of life, which Christian took and applied to the wounds he had received in battle, and was healed immediately. He also sat down in that place to eat bread, and to drink of the bottle that was given him a little before. So being refreshed, he addressed himself to his journey with his sword drawn in his hand. For he said, I know not, but some other enemy may be quite at hand. But he met with no other affront from Apollyon, quite through this valley. And so Christian prevailed, because he is more than a conqueror through Christ, who loved him. The attacks of the devil seen very clearly here. The attempts to persuade, and then the outright opposition. And Christian is triumphant because God is with him and working through him. So a good, exciting section today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you for listening this morning. Thank you.